Hello and welcome to Season 3, Episode 4 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kev, and coming up on today's episode, I've got an FA Cup first round match at home to Oldham Athletic. But before we get into that, I'm just going to take you through the story of the last month or so in the Conference National. It's been a bit of an up and down month. It started really well with that 4-1 win against top of the table Woking in the first game of the month in the last episode, and from there it looked like we were all set up to just storm this league and do really, really well. But then we played third place Macclesfield a few days later and we lost 2-1, particularly painful because both their goals came in the last 5 minutes. The winner was Dion Conroy own goal, and yeah, I'd gone to, see, this is why I don't like to go to counter-attack. I'd switched to counter-attack on 80 minutes when we were 1-0 up and we lost 2-1, so that worked really, really well. We then went away to Lincoln, who had been traditionally my enemy when I was Boston manager, and their manager remembered me, Kevin Blackwell. We had a bit of a media war in the lead up to this one. As far as I'm aware, there's no beef between Lincoln and York, but they really didn't like me. We controlled the game, we created a lot of chances, we had a lot of possession, but it was 0-0. And then we had another 0-0, this time in the FA Cup fourth qualifying round at home to Leamington, a team we should have absolutely stuffed. I'm not even entirely sure if they're even in the leagues below us, the Conference North or South. I've got a feeling they might be in the Conference South. I certainly didn't come across them in the Conference North when I was at Boston. But either way, we should be absolutely stuffing them. Jimmy Lee got injured 5 or 6 weeks. We're not going to worry too much about that because he's not a first choice anyway. But that was the return against Leamington a few days later. We struggled to beat them then as well. It took an 88th minute winner from Ryan Lloyd to get us back into the match. And we tried something a little bit different from about the 70th minute onwards in that match, because a lot of our team are loan players, and for some reason, despite them being on loan with us all season, their parent clubs aren't letting any of them play in the FA Cup. That's probably a massive oversight on my part when I was bringing the players in. So we're kind of even more limited for players in the FA Cup than we are in the league, which meant we only had one striker, Jordan Slew, because Keshi Anderson and Emil Rees are both on loan. Neither of them can play in the FA Cup. The youngster, Robertson, is fine, but I don't really want to play. Certainly don't want him playing 2 full games in 3 or 4 days. So we experimented with something a little bit different. We did a sort of 4-3-1-2 lopsided thing where we had 3 players in midfield, Matt Breeze as an advanced winger on the right hand side, and then we had 2 forwards, but then sort of switched it round to a 4-3-3. With Lloyd on one side advanced, Breeze on the other, and once we did that, we started to look a little bit better. We went back to the 4-4-2 for the next game though, and lost at home to Forest Green. That took us to the end of the month. The board are still kind of happy with what we're doing. Well, they're satisfied. They're disappointed that we haven't maintained a harmonious atmosphere between the players at the club. That's basically all to do with Pears, the backup goalkeeper, is on loan for Middlesbrough. He wants to leave. I can't terminate his contract. I haven't got anyone else to bring in. We can't afford to sign a free transfer keeper. We've got no one in the youth team who can play in goal. I'm going to get rid of him in January and try and bring in a new keeper on loan, but he's kind of disrupting the harmony of the whole team, which is a bit of a problem because the board are now starting to whine at me about it. This game we played the 4-3-1-2 again. Breeze playing as the attacking winger, and then again 70 minutes we brought Lloyd on, went to the 4-3-3 and absolutely stuffed Kidderminster. Played really well, created a lot of chances, had a lot of possession, and that leaves us there 19 games in. We're third in the league, spot on where the board are expecting us to be. We've won 10 games, lost 4, and we're on 35 points, 6 points away from Woking at the top of the league again, and only 3 points from falling out of the playoff places. So it's all a little bit tight, but it is reassuring to see that we've got the joint second highest scorers in the league in Jordan Slew and Keshi Anderson, and Slew is also third on the average rating table as well. So it's good to have some top performing players again. But all that messing around with the formation over the last few games, it feels like I'm at Boston again doing this, but there is reason for it. It's all to do with this silly FA Cup and the fact that we can't play all our loan players. So I'm going to try something a little bit different. This is what we've been switching to late on in these games when we've been struggling for strikers, and sort of shifting things around. I haven't played this formation from the start yet. The nearest I've got is, in fact, I can show you, it's this. That's what we've been playing a couple of times, with Anderson and Slew up front. But because Anderson's not able to play because we're in the FA Cup, we're just going to go with this one from the start and see what happens. We are so far down to bare bones that we've actually only got 17 available players, and we're supposed to have 18. We've got an imaginary player who's appeared on the bench as a backup goalkeeper for us, and Conroy's going to have to sit on the bench despite being injured. We don't really have much in the way of options if anything happens, if anything goes wrong. So my hands are tied a little bit. I'm not sure if this formation is going to work from the start, especially against Oldham. I mean, what division are Oldham in? Are Oldham, I imagine they're a League One team, are they? Let's have a look. So, oh yeah, they're 17th in League One. So we're probably going to get hammered anyway, so it's going to be difficult to judge this system. I'm going to be judging it purely on how much possession can we maintain in this match. If we can be fairly even for possession against a team 2 leagues above us, then I'm going to consider that a moral victory for us. And it might be something that we at least continue to train as a second option behind the 4-4-2. Of course, if we win the game, then suddenly I've got a decision to make next game whether or not I play Slew or Anderson, because if we can manage to beat Oldham with this system, then it becomes something we have to perhaps bring into the league. So Breeze picks up the ball there, finds Slew, nothing really happens, it was just the kick-off highlight. So Oldham playing a 4-4-2, so for the first time all season we're outnumbering a team in midfield, which could help us with possession. We're doing good for possession so far. I know we're only 12 minutes in, but we're over 60% possession against a League One team. And then 17 minutes in, we're down to 50-50, which is why we shouldn't be looking at the possession stat that early in the game. Also, fairly worryingly, they've had 4 times as many shots as us already. So, yeah, potentially not great, but we're a quarter of the way into the match and we're not losing yet, so that's got to be a positive, I guess. It's all a bit quiet, which I guess plays into our hands. We don't want it to be... Yeah, I'm not going to fiddle too much with that, actually. I want to be playing a possession game. I don't want to start lumping the ball forward and trying to get shots. I know we've not created very much, but I consider it a victory for us today if we just limit Oldham's to not getting too many clear-cut chances, which seems to be what's happening at the moment. Fairly boring first half. That's fine. To me, that means the system's worked, which I'm sure you're loving as a Lifecom game. Oh yeah, he says it's good. The boring system and there was no highlights, and he's happy. Yeah, that's how you win at YouTube, I think. Encouragingly, though, we've had more passes than they have. We've still had more possession. I think we're doing okay. We just need to create some chances, and it is difficult to judge now because I'm thinking, well, would this? Well, I know this system creates chances in the Conference North because we just scored 4 goals with it in the last game. So I'm encouraged by what's going on here. We've actually got a highlight. Nolan, who's playing at left back today. Starkey picks up the ball. No, we're losing the ball here. This is turning into an Oldham highlight, isn't it? They've lumped that ball forward, and that is it's not a nice goal to concede. We've played really well. Some nice passing football. We're supposed to be the non-league team, and Oldham have taken the lead by lumping the ball forward with a long ball and then just hammering it past our keeper. They look like the non-league team. I'm still happy that we're playing well. And if we only lose this 1-0, we were supposed to lose by a lot more, so I'm not going to complain too much about that. Right, Slew is not having a good game. He is completely abandoned up top. Oh, the imaginary keeper doesn't actually appear. So he appears when we're picking the team, but we don't actually have a keeper on the bench. We've only got a squad of 17 players. Well, there you go. I'm going to bring Robertson on for him. Probably not the best idea I've ever had. Let's bring on the 16-year-old and take off our top scorer. See if that's going to get us past the League One team. And why not? Let's bring Anthony Dolan on for Ryan Lloyd as well. Dolan doesn't like... See, he prefers the wide midfielder role that he normally plays in the 4-4-2. The thing I like about this system is that it's playing into those sort of 5-6 attacking players that we've got, all of them in their most natural positions when we do it, which I quite like. But now we've brought Dolan on, and he's not. Do we try and sling the ball forward for the last 10 minutes and see what happens? I kind of think we just carry on as we are. I haven't got anyone to bring on the bench. The nearest thing I've got to a potential substitution is it Kieran or Kyron Farrell? I'm not going to bother. We'll only make a substitution if we need to. I'm not going to fiddle with the system, and I'm going to see if just sitting and counter-attacking and keeping hold of the ball creates a chance for us in these last 10 minutes. It might not, but I'd rather lose 1-0 than 2 or 3-0 because we've gone crazy trying to win the game. There you go, we could equalise here. Completely undeserved if we do, but I'd feel vindicated in not throwing players forward. So, yeah, that was our reserve right back, believe it or not. That's why he missed so desperately. That was not too bad overall. I'm really interested to see in the comments what you think of that potential extra formation. Realistically, probably still going to be going back to the 4-4-2 for the next league game. But what do you think? Is it a viable backup option for us? Is there some tweaks I can do to it to make it a potential promotion winning formation for us at this level? Really interested to hear what your thoughts are on that. And if you've enjoyed today's episode, make sure you pop a like on there for me and subscribe to the channel. My voice is disappearing now. Subscribe to the channel to make sure you don't miss out on tomorrow's episode. Thanks very much for watching.